And now let's welcome your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, Louise Hicks. In this episode, let's talk Black excellence.
Glad to be going live. Looks like everything is going well now. And I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And I come on periodically, but my plan is to be on every Sunday, especially. And I started this show back in January. It was a spinoff from my show that my son, Kenan Mason, who is business owner of Kinetic Fit and Wellness. We started back in 2014 in California, and we were called Aim to Purpose to Talk radio show. So went on a hiatus for a while, and I really wasn't on Facebook that much after that until I started the new show, because we went about 3 or 4 seasons, and 2016 or early 17, we stopped broadcasting. And I was doing some other things, had some personal challenges to take care of. And I came back January of this year, January 30th. And I'm happy to be here. And I thank everybody for joining in and sharing and talking with me, listening to me. And I do have a website, not a website, I have a YouTube channel. I'm going to have a website that I will be revamping, because the old one I took down since it had been a long time. And I'd like for you to go to my YouTube channel, which is aimed, AIMED, the number 2, radio. And again, aimed, AIMED, the number 2, purpose radio, Aim to Purpose Radio. That is my YouTube channel. You can go and subscribe, because there's lots of information there for you to check out, to help you to elevate yourself. And I will share again, the reason I was inspired to start Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour back in January of this year is because I had seen, or have seen, so much on social media, actually. A lot of what I would call a lack of knowledge, foolishness, and so much to keep our people, Black people, from elevating themselves and to a higher level of consciousness. And I have seen so much in my lifetime, being that I'm 71, a baby boomer. I just wanted to come in and just talk about some things to make sense and to help us as Black people to elevate ourselves, because you don't have to allow anything to hold you back. It's up to you. And that's why I chose today's topic, Let's Talk Black Excellence, Practice What You Preach, the money game, trapped into a different mindset, because that's what I see so much of. So many of us are trapped in a different mindset. And I'm sure you've heard, if you're listened to music, or you came along back in the Barry White era, where he had this song, Practice What You Preach. And I was looking through a family album a couple of days ago, I guess, and I looked in it again this morning, and I was thinking about our ancestors. I saw a picture of my grandmother, who would be over 100 years old. I saw some other pictures of people that I knew, older generation, which I would call, I guess they're called the traditionists, or I would say old baby boomers, because I'm a baby boomer and I'm from the old school. And from what I see here now, I just thought today would be a good day to talk about some of the foolishness and some of the information that we are listening to, because we've lost our way, so many of us. And then we wonder what happened. Why are we in this predicament? What are we doing? And that's why, again, I said I chose this topic, and I'm Louise Hicks. And it's, to me, it's not about buying subscribers, because I don't do that, or worrying about who comes and who subscribes to what I have to offer. Because I can tell you, I have a lot of wisdom to offer, and I have a lot of understanding, a lot of experiences that some of you need badly. And I'm not just talking to Gen Xers, the Gen Ys, millennials, or the Gen Zs. I'm talking to baby boomers as well, because a lot of us lost our way. And that's why a lot of the Gen Xers, the millennials, and the Gen Ys, that's why a lot of these younger generation people are in the situation they're in, because of us, a lot of us who've lost our way. And we lost our way back in the 60s and 70s. And I'm not talking about what I've heard. I've heard this, I've heard this. I'm talking about what I know, because I lived it. And a lot of you are out here talking, you're on here, you worried about the money, getting subscribers, and a lot of these subscribers are jumping on your bandwagon, when a lot of you are out here giving the information to help not better our community, but it's really what Malcolm X said, Marcus Garvey, Fannie Lou Hamer, and a lot of you don't even know who these people are, and that's sad. And a lot of our ancestors, if they heard now what's coming out of some of you younger generations' mouth, and how complacent some of our baby boomers have gotten, they would wonder, what did they go through all the struggles that they went through for? And that's why I'm here to talk to you, to help us, because we need help. We're off balance into a lack of knowledge. And some would call it stuck on stupid. And a lot of us are, because we don't have the mindset. And I thank you, Chef D. Allen, for stepping in and being here listening today, because I'm open to everyone to listen. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, you're welcome to listen, because I'm here to teach some wisdom. And it doesn't matter what age you are, because a lot of us don't have wisdom. And I see very few younger generation, the Gen Xers, the Gen Ys, and the Gen Zs. I see very little information being offered out here that's helpful to our community. And I'm saying what I know. I'm not one to jump on your bandwagon, and I can learn from young people like Chef D. Allen, who's opening her Build a Pizza as a Black businesswoman. And she's been on this show before, and her being on here, if you had listened to her, you could learn a lot. This is a Black woman who was single with children, who let nothing stop us. And we know this system is by design to allow us to stay stuck on stupid, and to allow us not to be willing to read or to learn anything helpful, to listen to a lot of these rappers out here who are giving us information that we don't need, because it's not helping us. And I can tell you for a fact, because I raised my children during that era and this era. And I can honestly say I've never gone to jail to pick up any of my children. And even when my younger son, David, went to jail, the one who had cancer at the age of 14, and got off track with, once he was over the cancer, because he started not listening, dealing with the wrong people. And he's 41 now. God bless him. He survived the cancer. But he didn't want to listen. He chose not to listen once he survived that, to some wisdom. He wanted to buy him some sense, and rather than being taught some sense. Because I raised my children pretty much as a single parent. And you can't tell me that a single parent cannot raise decent children, because they can, a single woman. However, I can say that they cannot teach you what a father can teach you, because they are women. They're not men. And anybody that tell you that, they're sending you down the wrong path. And a lot of young people now are so lost. And you think you know it all. That's a lot of the problem out here. And you're following people out here that just want subscribers, whether they bought them or you bought over to what they're having to tell you, because your mindset is so wrapped up in, oh, they said this, so I better go jump on this bandwagon, without doing any due diligence to see what you're jumping into and what you're listening to. And you need to think about it. So I had some things that I want to say during this remainder of the time, and I'm not going to stay in here too long because I'm going to be coming back every Sunday, and even periodically I come online when I'm doing my walk outside, walking by the lake around the neighborhood where I live, because I had the common sense not to get wrapped up in drugs back in when my generation. And those drugs were put in our neighborhoods. I lived in California by design to keep you ignorant and entrapped so that you can spend your money unwisely and not have anything, end up broke. And this goes for a lot of the people. And you're out here following some of these people, and they had money, but a lot of them are broke. They've made more money than you can shake a stick at, some of them, but they're broke. And you're following these people. And even some of the people that are not broke, you're following them. But what are they offering you? They certainly can't be offering you anything substantial that will help you economically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, health-wise. Because a lot of us have lost our way in all of these ways, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, health-wise. Economically, we've lost our way. We're so off balance because we're listening to the wrong people. And a lot of you think, oh, those old people don't know anything. They don't know what they're talking about. Yes, some of us do. Because we came along at a time of our grandparents and great-grandparents who were about substance. No, they didn't have a lot. And just think, if you came along in their time frame, what you would have now if you had listened to some of them, because they didn't believe in getting credit. They didn't believe in that. They didn't believe in spending their money foolishly. A lot of you will go out here and you go look in your closet. Your closet is full of, some of this stuff is fake. You're out here spending up money on fake Gucci bags, fake Louis Vuittons, Nike, all of these. Some of you, you go look in your closet, you're going to see a closet full of Nikes, and you don't have a house to put them in. Some of you don't even have an apartment to put them in. You're living with your parents, or you're living off your parents, because you don't listen to anybody with some wisdom. You're listening to the wrong people. You don't even know what investment is. You don't have any understanding of investments and what it means to have something of your own or to own something, because you're listening to the wrong people. You're listening to a lot of these rappers who are teaching you about women being bitches and hoes and all of this nonsense, and how you can go out and get high on dope. And who brought all the dope to this country? And why do you think they brought it here? Certainly, Black people didn't bring it in. And you may have one or two. You've seen the movie, I'm sure, that talked about one Black man, but eventually what happened to him? And I think Denzel Washington starred in that movie. But that was a movie. And that's one person. Black people own pretty much nothing in this country. And those that do, what are they doing for you while you're looking up to them? And we were taught as children, charity starts at home. Our parents taught us. And nowadays, the parents are not teaching their children anything. Many of them, I'm not saying all parents, so don't get the wrong idea of what I'm talking about, but it's the majority of our parents from what I'm seeing. And the majority, you look at YouTubers and you see some of this venom that they are passing on to you. And a lot of you are buying into it. Like it's like you buy into medicine, the pharmaceutical medicines. You believe, oh, anything a doctor tells you is truth. So I better go and get my meds. And it's nothing wrong with therapy. A lot of us, we refuse to get some talk therapy. We'd rather go get some drugs to get us high and keep us out of our minds so that we don't have a mind. And a lot of these people that are out here telling you this stuff, it's all about the money for them. They're not practicing what they're preaching, believe me. They're preying on you. Preying on you. And I don't mean P-R-A-Y-I-N-G. I'm talking about P-R-E-Y-I-N-G. There's a difference. The two words sound just alike, but there's a difference. They are preying on you. And you're out here spending up the little money you do make, and you're not going to have anything to show. By the time you get to be 71 like I am, you won't have anything to show for it. You won't have a legacy to leave for your children. You won't have any generational wealth to leave for your children because they are preying on you instead of P-R-A-Y-I-N-G, with you and for you, praying with you and for you. They are preying on you. And you talk about white supremacy and the white man doing you in, but you're doing yourself in. You're doing each other in. And I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. Believe me, I've had my share of it and still having it. However, we are hurting one another. And I'll give you a little example about myself that happened recently. We want to support one another, but we need to do one another right. And we need to do the right thing by one another. I hired a Black contractor. And guess what? They did something wrong. And I'm not going to go into details at this time. Can't even get a hold of them now. I have to get somebody else to fix the problem. That's wrong. And we need to stop it. Stop doing one another in. It's a lack of trust. And that's what's happened to us. And we know where it came from. And I'll share with you, I talked about this book. This was my first show, The Willie Lynch Letter, Making of a Slave. A lot of us are still enslaved. We're suffering from the Willie Lynch syndrome because we've never gotten out of it. And that's so sad. And again, as I said, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. I have a YouTube channel, aimed, A-I-M-E-D, the number 2, purpose, P-U-R-P-O-S-E, radio, Aim to Purpose Radio. Please go to my radio show and subscribe because I want you to have some real wisdom. And I'm being real. I'm not out here with this fake it until you make it, because faking is not real. And a lot of you young people are out here, you're listening to all the wrong things. You need to start listening to some wisdom. And you need to listen to some realism, not this fake it till you make it stuff, because it's not going to help you to fake anything, because fake is not real. You need to have a vision. I facilitated a vision on board. And I tell you, we couldn't give away tickets. I think we gave away one ticket, and I don't know whether that person showed up, but we did have several people to show up, enough actually, to do the vision on board. But a lot of us have our heads and our mindset in the wrong place. If we were giving away tickets to go see some of these wealthy rappers who are taking your money and they're not giving you anything back, most of them, because their mindset, and that's who you're following, and a lot of their mindsets are in the wrong place. They're teaching you all the wrong things. So how are you going to elevate as a community when you're out here following the wrong people? And they're telling you, subscribe to my channel, subscribe. But what are they giving you in return? A lot of these Gen Xers, the millennials, the Gen Zs, and whoever else you're listening to, even some of the baby boomers that have become complacent. My generation. And I'm going to tell you what happened to a lot of my generation. They got on drugs. Drugs that were put into our neighborhood by design to keep us stuck on stupid, because a lot of us were not stuck on stupid. We didn't take the bait. I didn't take the bait. I could have become a drug addict or a drug dealer, but I chose not to. I chose not to even take drugs. I never did drugs, and do very little legal drugs, because they can ruin your life as well. The big pharma. I see people running around here with 15 and 20 medicines in their medicine cabinet. And they got a pill case where, oh, I have to take my pills. I got to take my medicines. So why are you on all these medicines? I'm 71. I'm not on any medication. Not to say I haven't taken them, because I think medication should be taken in emergencies. Why are you strung out on any type of drugs? It's by design to keep your mindset engraved in an enslaved mentality. And that's why I said I chose the topic today. Let's talk Black excellence. Practice what you preach. The money game, trapped into a different mindset, because that's where a lot of us are. We're trapped into a mindset that's not leading us to anywhere. And you know what a lot of it is? And I told you guys when I started my show back in January, I said, white people use the Bible to enslave us. And you know, the Bible has been misinterpreted, a lot of it. It has been written in a way to keep you enslaved, rewrites of the Bible. And I told you, we can use the Bible in our favor, because there are scriptures there to help empower you. And I can tell you one of them, because I keep it visible in my house at all times. And here's one here that I keep visible. And this one says, trusting God when life hurts, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. God has given us the spirit and the power of a sound mind, not the spirit of fear. And a lot of us walking around here and we are jumping on every bandwagon we can find. And we need to stop it, because it is not healthy for us. That's why a lot of us are on these pills. We're going to these jobs that we hate every day, and we don't know how to navigate ourselves on the jobs. We don't know how to deal with white supremacy on the job, because it does exist. I've experienced it. I've never been fired from a job. And I've always spoken up and spoken out on all the jobs that I've held, because I'm not going to be a slave to a job or any man. And that's what a lot of us have become. We will turn on one another. And that's what's so sad. I've had it to happen to me on the job, Black people, because they want to please the white man who is angry because I'm speaking out and speaking up, because I don't go to work to be treated like a second-class citizen. And I speak out and tell the white boss that I have that's attempting to treat me like that. I'm not having it. No, I'm not having it, because I know what to do. I know how to document. I know how to speak and articulate myself for my equal rights. And a lot of you don't want to do that. All you want to do is follow a bunch of foolishness. And you follow the wrong people who's making money off of you. You're spending your money unwisely, and you're listening to people that's not helping you. I do coaching. I do motivational speaking. However, I stopped for a while because I had some challenges I needed to deal with, and I dealt with them. And I've never been one to jump on a bandwagon. I took a lot after my mother, who, if she had lived, she passed away at 92, and probably because she spoke up for herself. And she suffered physically for some of it. She was born in 1923 at a time when it was really tough, much tougher. My father was born in 1912 at a time when it was even tougher. But you need to learn from some of these older people who can share with you some wisdom. But many of you are running around here jumping on these bandwagons just because a person has a lot of subscribers on their YouTube channel does not mean that they are giving you the information that you need to elevate yourself to be successful. And when I say success, I don't mean having a lot of money, because you can have a whole bunch of money. You can be super wealthy and be miserable and have an unhealthy mind and have all kinds of stresses. Success has to do with a lot more than that. It has to do with what's in your heart. It has to do with your spirituality. And of course, like I said, your economic empowerment. It has to do with your health. And so many of us don't even take care of ourselves. Young people, we don't care. We'd rather follow some of these actors actors and entertainers who are telling you, oh, it's okay to be overweight. It's okay to be this. That stuff works on your heart. So we need to strive to be healthy. And we're not doing it. I look at some of the young people and I said, what are they doing to themselves? And when 2020 hit with COVID, they were saying, oh, all these people are dying of COVID. And a lot of them, young people that were dying, they had underlying health issues because a lot of them didn't take care of themselves. Some of them had high blood pressure, diabetes, overweight. And of course, if you catch any type of disease and you're not taking care of yourself, you're not healthy, your immune system is unhealthy, you're going to have a greater challenge. And I know of some people that they claim died of COVID and they didn't. Personally, they are saying that. And the person may have had COVID, but I know of someone that was shared with me, died in a car accident, but they were labeled as dying of COVID. So you can't believe everything that you hear. We have to start doing our due diligence. And that's why I chose to talk about this subject, the money game, because a money game has been run on us since we were enslaved. And I say that because our ancestors worked for nothing. And not only did they work for nothing, they were beaten, raped, castrated, babies killed that were fathered by the slave masters. I mean, these were horrendous atrocities. And some of you don't even know your history because your parents don't even know the history. And they're not even trying to find out. And this lack of knowledge is causing us to perish and to hurt one another, harm one another. And it's so sad. It's really sad. And when I see it, I have to talk about it because I want us to come out of this enslaved mentality and this lack of knowledge that is destroying us. And I'll tell you another story. When we were kids, my father and my mother split up when I was about 7 years old. And my father was a good person. My mother was a good person. However, they were born in a time when it was very, very tough for them as Black people. Sharecroppers, Jim Crow era. It was difficult. My father was a brilliant man, could take a car apart and put it back together with just a third grade education. My mother had an 8th grade education, but she had a lot of wisdom and she saw the racism and how they were treated. And a lot of that passed on to me. That's why I tell everybody I'm a warrior for justice, because I believe in equal rights. And we know this country was not built on equal rights for Black people. That's a fact. A fact. And I'm only going to give you the facts as I know them and my perspective as I know I have lived in the 71 years that I have been on this planet. And I have done a lot of due diligence. I've gone through a lot. I've practiced law on myself and won because I did my due diligence against a giant industry. And I won. And I was going to go to law school, but I didn't go. And I have a bachelor's degree in social work. So I study people. No, I don't have a PhD, but I have a PhD because I've done so much and I've lived so much. However, like I said, like my mother, I saw her stand up for herself against white people in her day that wanted to keep her captivated as a slave. And many of us are still enslaved. And it's so sad because we are buying into a lot of the nonsense, and a lot of it is perpetuated by our own so-called leaders. And that's why I said charity starts in the home. But the only way we're going to have guidance in the home, you have to know how to be a parent. And a lot of us don't know how. We're teaching our children the wrong things because we don't know. And as a kid, after my parents separated, we were on welfare. And they wanted my father to pay child support. However, he couldn't even get a decent job, and he was brilliant. And that's what happened to a lot of Black people. That's how they started the prison complex, you know, because it was by design. They take the Black man out of the home because he couldn't find a job, and it created a lot of problems. And some Black men were so overwhelmed with the stress of just trying to survive until they left, like my father. And they threw my father in jail because he couldn't pay child support because he couldn't get a job. And he was doing little odd jobs, doing the best he could because he was a brilliant man. He knew how to fix cars, put cars back together. But they threw him in jail like they did a lot of Black men. And a lot of y'all don't even know the history of what happened, why, and how the prison complex started. It started with this white supremacist system taking the Black man out of the home because a lot of Black men couldn't find a job. And a lot of them, some of them did have businesses, small businesses, because I grew up in a Black neighborhood where some of the Black people did have small businesses, and that's how they were able to survive. They owned their own little grocery stores, cleaners, barbershops. Some of them had what some are calling Lyft today, and the other one, Uber. Black people were doing that when I was a child, but they called it a jitney. And they were charging Black people to take them from point A to point B because didn't have a bus system at the time. Not in the area where we lived. Ultimately, eventually, I believe they did have one, but it didn't run in the Black neighborhood. And Black people stuck together then. We could leave our doors open, our homes open. And see, a lot of you young people don't even know or understand a lot of this stuff. And you're around here, you're giving advice to people on younger generation. They're following a lot of this. They're jumping on your bandwagon when some of you don't even know what you're talking about. You haven't lived it. And you don't do your due diligence. So you don't know, you don't understand. And you're misleading a lot of these younger Black people. That's why a lot of them ended up in prison. And that's why the white supremacists keep building more prisons and juvenile detention centers because we're not raising our children anymore. And our children are suffering from all kinds of health issues now. When we were kids, you rarely ever heard of any child having autism or cancer. I only got sick one time when I was a child, one time. And now children are sick all the time, suffering from one thing or another. It's because of the lifestyle a lot of us are living. We've lost our way. We're so off balance until we don't know what to do with ourselves, but bring each other down and do what I said I hired. And I'm not saying all Black people you hire. I would never stop participating in Black businesses. However, you need to vet whoever you are hiring to do business with. I don't care if they are Black, because a lot of us will do anything. We'll sell our mamas out to make a buck. And it's not right. It's not going to get you anywhere in the long run, but prison. And a lot of us are going into still in the Black neighborhoods, selling drugs to our young kids instead of teaching them something. And I've heard the saying, well, I sold drugs because I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything to do. We didn't have any money. I grew up, like I said, on welfare. I never sold drugs, never took them either, illegal drugs, no. Because I refused. I put myself through college, 4 years at a deficit. And a lot of you don't want to do, you don't want to put yourself out there to do what you got to do. And I just told you, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a power. And we're empowered people. And a lot of people out here telling you, oh, you got to stay stuck on stupid. But you don't have to elevate yourself. I'm a living witness. So to the young people, the Gen Xers, the millennials, Gen Y, the Gen Zs that are coming up now, I'm giving you some wisdom, solid wisdom. Do some due diligence. Have confidence in yourself. Have the courage. Be committed to something positive that's going to take you somewhere. And I told you, this lady on here now, Dolores Allen, Chef D, that you see, she would get up at 4 o'clock in the mornings to take her kids where they needed to go so she could go to school and to go to work, a single parent. And some of these single women out here, you're taking up your money, you're spending it up unwisely instead of investing. There's stocks out here that you could be investing in. Now is a very good time to invest in stocks. Some of you can learn how to buy real estate. And I'm telling you, because I know I've done it all. And I've made multiple mistakes in my lifetime because I didn't have the information that you have today, but you don't want to listen to wisdom. You want to go out here and listen to foolishness. And you need to stop it. You need to get some commitment, get some courage, get some confidence. You have brilliant minds, but you're not using your critical thinking skills, and you need to use them to elevate yourself so that by the time you get to be 71, you don't have to do anything. I don't have to work now if I don't want to. I'm working and doing what I do because I want to help you to have a better life, to have a legacy, to have generational wealth to pass on to your children so that you won't be trapped. Your children won't be trapped. So many of you are trapped right now. And to my generation of baby boomers, a lot of you are to blame for it because you got on drugs. They put the drugs in your community and you fell prey to it. P-R-E-Y. Instead of you P-R-A-Y-I-N-G, you fell P-R-E-Y. And what happened? It passed on to a lot of your children. And a lot of the people in my age category, I know for a fact, you own property in LA, prime property. And what happened to it when you passed on? Your children were drug addicts, and many of them lost it. And I'm not telling you what I don't know, I'm telling you what I know. You lost the property, prime property, because you got hooked on drugs. And all of that was by design to keep you in poverty, impoverished. And some of you are my age now, and you don't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. So what can you tell your children? And if you don't like what I'm saying, too bad. Because I'm not pussyfooting around with you. I'm telling you what I know. Because I want to help. And you know why I want to help? Because of this. L-O-V-E, love. Because I have love for my people. And I want to see you successful in all aspects of your life. And I want to see us love one another. Stop killing one another. Don't you know that's by design? And you get angry if the police kills one of you. And then you hear your leaders, because they're not my leaders, like the Al Sharpton, who will start running to talk so he can be on camera. And do you see him again? I don't know, but I doubt it. Because I'm not one of those fake it till you make it people. I don't believe in that philosophy. I believe in realism. Be real until you make it. Do the work until you make it. I don't care what you're doing as a Black person. Most of all, you need to be doing it with excellence. That's what we were taught. Whatever you do, if you have to go out there and dig a ditch, you dig that ditch with excellence. I'm just planting some seeds because you're following the wrong people, and I see the destruction of it. That's why they keep building all these prisons. Just because a person got 1 million subscribers, I don't have a lot of subscribers. And you know why? Because y'all following the wrong people, people that are leading you into destruction. And that's how come they keep building all these prisons. And the educational system, you're not going to get it there, because our educational system is by design to dumb you down and keep you as an employee, not an employer. And they're not going to teach you how to invest your money. As Black people, we had, according to statistics, I believe it said $1.6 trillion running through the Black community in 2021 or 2020, one or the other. And guess how long it stayed in our hands? Not very long, because we don't invest when we should be. Now, like I said, it's the perfect time, but you got to know what to invest in, which stocks. A lot of them are prime for you to start, but a lot of you would rather go power your closet up with some designer fake purses that you don't even know whether they're real or not, some Nike shoes. And you know what? I didn't grow up like that. It was 7 of us. And my parents did teach us the reality of life. Sometimes we strayed, because I did myself. Sometimes we can forget our upbringing, but you need to come back to it, because I did. I learned a lot by my mistakes. And believe me, we may make them until the day we die. but you need to learn from it. If you don't learn anything from the mistakes you make, you're not going to grow. So I'm just planting some seeds. And I didn't want to forget some of the stuff I had said. I think I got pretty much everything I wanted to say, but I did want to tell you a few things. I talked about the 3 C's: courage, confidence, and commitment. And I still talk to my children. Kenan Wesley Mason, who has his own business, he's working on it, Kinetic Fit and Wellness. He has a YouTube channel as well. And my daughter, Crystal Flowers, who runs a real estate business because her father is a baby boomer and he has sense enough to do something with his money besides going out, getting high on drugs, giving his money right back to where it came from, because we know who brings all the drugs into this country, and it's not Black people. And now she's starting her own business, Jewel Box, where she's going to be selling jewelry. And I talk about my son, David, who inspired my award-winning book, A Hill to Climb, a teenager's battle with cancer, depression, and drug addiction. And I'm still having challenges with David, my son, who inspired my award-winning book, because I'm an author as well as a speaker and a coach, because I like to help our people out of love for our people. And I'm not saying anyone is welcome to come in and listen to what I have to say, because you might learn something to help bring some harmony to this world, because God knows we need it. To the world, I said. And America, we know, has been broken from its inception, because once you start enslaving people, you become broken. Nobody should be enslaved and beaten to work for somebody else for nothing. And that's what our ancestors did. And like I said earlier, if our ancestors could hear some of what comes out of some of you so-called helping us, the YouTubers with all of your subscribers, if they could hear some of the stuff coming out of your mouths against your own people and how you address one another, they would say, wow, all the atrocities we went through, and this is what we get. Here it is, damn near 500 years, and our people are still out here struggling, trying to find their way, because they are bamboozled, brainwashed, and blindsided, as Malcolm X would say, and Marcus Garvey. I told you guys about his quote. He said, I don't recall the quote right now, but go look up Marcus Garvey. This man was born in mid to 1800s, and he was fighting for equal rights in the 20th century. Fannie Lou Hamer fought for equal rights, a Black woman, and she was treated badly. She wanted to go vote, and white supremacists had some Black men, put this woman in prison. And a lot of you don't even know who she is because you're following a bunch of foolishness. There was a Black Democratic Party once upon a time. Fannie Lou Hamer was affiliated and associated. This is when Black people were more on code, together, unity. We've gotten so far away from that. We got to stop it. If you want to elevate yourself, you got to get some wisdom from the people that know, been there, done that, still working for equal rights in the right way, and not out here misleading you just for some money like a lot of the rappers are. And you know why? Because the white man will offer them some money and they'll take anything to sell their people down the rabbit hole. Because they don't care about you. They're only thinking about themselves and how much money they can get from the man. The white supremacists who want to keep the bulk of us in our place, so to speak, and that means enslaved. The majority of Black people, that's how they want to keep us stuck on stupid. And a lot of us have fallen in place because of fear. A lot of us are afraid. I worked on a job with a bunch of young Black people, and I tell you, I've never seen so many lack of knowledge young people in my life. Young Black people, such lack of knowledge and how they spend their money. They're bragging to one another. Girl, I went out and bought, I paid $400 for me some hair. Or I bought my kids some Nikes, $100, living on Section 8. And you could have taken that $100 and that $400 and saved it and bought you some stocks. So by the time your children gets to be your age, because some of them are in their 40s and 30s, they could be millionaires depending on how you're spending that money. And some of them said, girl, I got $7,000 from my income tax and I'm going to spend it and I'm do this and do that, living on Section 8. And you could have taken that money and invested in some real estate, especially here in Texas at that time when real estate was much cheaper than it is now. Because if you're working and you got that kind of money, you could have invested in a multi-unit. I'm talking about what I know because I sold real estate too in California. I had my license. I gotten property and casualty licenses, health and life insurance license. So I'm talking about what I know. A lot of these people out here, you going, subscribing, got all these multi-thousand subscribers and everything. And they are just leading you down the pea patch and you're following because you will jump on any bandwagon that comes along. It's like some of the people I know back in the day, the older people didn't know any better. They go to the doctor and they tell them anything. And I got a quick story I'll tell you about that. When I left Louisiana, where I was born, my mother became ill. She went to this doctor and he just snatched her leg like she was inhuman. I can't remember, it wasn't a Black doctor. And she called me and told me about how much pain she was in. And I was so upset. I got my pen and paper because I know how to whip with the pencil. I wrote to the governor of Louisiana. I wrote to Senator Long at the time. The governor was Governor Edwards. I wrote to Senator Long. The Longs were very prominent in Louisiana. I wrote to the medical director of the medical society. And somebody else I wrote to, might have been the local councilman or somebody. And guess what? I got a response from the governor. I got a response from the Longs. And I got a response from the medical society. And the worst letter I got was from the medical society. Bogus. A bogus letter. And here's the medical society that's supposed to be helping us with our health. And they wrote me the most bogus letter. However, I did get a decent letter from Governor Edwards and Governor Long. And Governor Long, not Governor Long, Senator Long at the time. And he did help. And the governor, I got a letter from them, decent letters, I must say, because I wrote a decent letter. However, the medical society could have cared less. And that's what was really frustrating to me, the medical society. And a lot of us follow the medical society to this day. And a lot of them are bought by big pharma. And I'm telling you what I know because I dealt with it with my son, and I'll talk about that another day. So I'm getting ready to end my show for today, but I really wanted to pass on some wisdom because a lot of us are really stuck and we don't have any understanding. And as I leave, I want to tell you something else quickly. about responsibility, resilience, and relevant. Those are the 3 R's I use, because a lot of us need to take responsibility for ourselves and do some due diligence for ourselves and stop being stuck on stupid for lack of knowledge. Be resilient. Challenge, do some challenging. I do it all the time when I know I'm right. And if I'm wrong, you better be prepared to prove me wrong. I tell you that. You better be prepared to prove me wrong. And relevant. Responsibility, resilience, and relevant. A lot of us not relevant. And you know why you're not relevant? Because you don't have the mindset to become relevant, because you're stuck for a lack of knowledge and you don't do your due diligence. And the other one, those are my R's. The P's, I'm going to leave you with that. Perseverance. We don't persevere. We give up too quick. Persistence. We're not persistent. We don't keep trying. You got to keep on this journey until the day you pass on. Patience. A lot of us don't have patience. That's why we're so quick to jump on the bandwagon of a lot of these YouTubers and social media people out here that are leading you down the pea patch. And a lot of these rappers out here selling you a bunch of nonsense and you're buying into it so you can go, guess where you're going to go? You're going to either end up dead or you're going to prison, or you end up maimed for the rest of your life, where you're no good to anybody, yourself or anybody else. And I added a protection. We don't believe in protecting one another. Some of us will do one another in. And I have this saying that this rock that I sit on my desk, I keep it here. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. That's from Proverbs 27:17. We should be sharpening each other's tools in a positive way, and we don't do that. We don't do it. Thank you, Dee. I appreciate you. I just got a message and I appreciate it, because I do keep it real. And that's what a lot of you need to hear. You need to hear something real. You guys going around here hearing all this fake stuff from people, a lot of these young people, they don't know what they're talking about, because they haven't done any due diligence and they definitely haven't lived it. They're telling you anything to get some subscribers and using you, and you don't even know it. And I'm here to help you to understand, because I'm not about the money. My living is made. If I never hit a lick at a snake the rest of my life, I don't have anything to worry about. And I'm 71 right now. And I keep it real, because I don't believe in that fake it till you make it. Why are you going to fake it? Fake it is not real. Fake is not real. So you want to live a fake life? Or do you want to live a real life where you can elevate yourself? And the protecting one another, working together, we need to do that, people. And we need to learn to become entrepreneurs. Once I knew better, as Maya Angelou said, I started doing better, teaching my children. When my children went to school, believe me, I participated. A lot of these parents don't give a damn about what these kids are doing in school. They don't even participate. They don't even contact the teachers or anything. If they do, many of them are ready to fight. So where do you think your kids get these examples from? They get them from you. Some parents out here teaching their kids to fight, just watching them. Oh, craziness, just craziness. So let's stop it. And I'm going to come back. I don't know. I might be on the middle of the week. I may come back. I know I'll be back next Sunday. God's willing. I will be here. I don't know what I'll be talking about. But today, as I said, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. I do have a YouTube channel. You can learn a lot if you want to learn. But if you want to follow the people out here that's leading you, misleading you, I should say, because they don't know, many of them, what they're talking about. And they're out here just to make some money. I'm not out here just to make money. I'm out here because I love my Black community and I want to see us elevate, have a legacy, leave some generational wealth for your children. And my YouTube channel is aimed, AIMED, the number 2, purpose, PURPOSE Radio, Aim to Purpose Radio. And you can subscribe, and you can give me a thumbs up if you like what you hear. And I pray that you do, because I'm not preying on you. I'm not preying on you. I am praying with you and for you, which is PRAYING. Again, Louise Hicks of Aimed, the number 2, Purpose Radio. That's my YouTube channel. And with that said, I always end my show, and I thank you all for listening, watching. I always end my shows because I know where my power lies, and I've known it for a long, long time. I think it came into an awareness when I was about 12, sitting on my grandmother's porch at about the age of 12. I knew then that I was a warrior for justice, and I won't stop. And I always lead in parting with this: your power lies within you. Let it loose. Thank you, and much love to all of you.